Yeah. Good morning. This is tents to rent. My goodness. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to have it confirmed that that is the theme for this week, this month, and this week. Because I got a little confused when Doug was up there with his reading. Am I not? Oh, I'm short, that's all. Short and good and short, whatever. That's fine, thank you. Yeah, I forgot. I don't have the lavalier mic on. So I'm tied to the podium a little bit today, as the other speakers have been. So if I wander away, you know how I am. If somebody holler at me, I'm sure you all will hear me, but the recording might not. So feel free to rein me in. There's a lot of people who probably like that opportunity that I haven't never given it to. So I'm just saying, you know. I'll give you the opportunity for that today. So the month of October, the birthday month for Miss Tina, and the month for celebrating the idea of dissolving fear through love. The videos that I've watched of the first three presentations, Reverend Bonnie, basically I just want to give you a little capsule of each one of them and try to recap it a little bit. But the thing that I got from Bonnie's was how she used love to love her cancer cells and liberate them from her life, to have an opportunity to see that as something that we normally would be resisting or hating or whatever, that she'd love the cancer cells into remission. And Pam gave us 3 principles of science of mind to work with the love and law. And Pat gave us a new ID. She talked about identity and how to re-identify ourselves as gods and others as gods, to do what I call namaste up, just see the God in everyone and everything. And provided us a little incentive or inspiration to have the courage to not just stay with or accept the tribal mentality, to move beyond that, to be willing to be that individual who is love and stands for love and takes a stand for love. So when I heard about the topic for the month was just earlier this week, and as always seems to happen to me, something will fall in out of the cosmic download that gives me an idea, and then I can't get it out of my head. And so this week, it's been this little ditty song that probably many of you, like me, learned in Scouts or camp or whatever. This is, love isn't love till you give it away, give it away, give it away. And I can't get that song out of my mind, and every day and all day, it's just going on and on and on. And so I thought, well, that, I guess, must be the title of my talk, and I must need to figure out how to give you a little bit of information about that. Or there was somebody here that needed to hear that. I never know, but I just let God be my guide. So that's the title of my talk today, is that love isn't love till you give it away. And we've seen and heard from others, too, these quotations from Ernest Holmes' books about love and casting out fear. And I want to just refer back to the Bible, because the Bible showed up in my life yesterday, and I again take these things as little signs that something I'm supposed to do. So in the chapter of John, in verse 7 and 8 is where there's this line about God is love. So to me, it's like there's just an equal sign there. God and love are sort of interchangeable, right? There's God, love, love, God, love, God. And also in John is where we have that quotation that comes, that perfect love casts out all fear. Now, to me, perfect love is about unconditional love, or what we call undefended love, that I have no need to defend myself about anything in my world or in my life, as long as I am just staying in this love. And I can be unconditional in my love of others, to let go of any of my judgment. And that's where the fear comes from, isn't it? Sort of, others this month have talked about it. That fear comes from judgment because it's not going my way. It's not my idea. It's not the way I would have preferred to see it happen. I didn't get my way about something, or I'm afraid that I'm going to lose out on something because somebody else is going to take it away or it's going to happen differently. And those are the things that set off fear for me. I don't know if I'm the only one in the room that has that kind of connection between attachment to outcome and fear. If I'm attached to an outcome, I'm obviously setting myself up for what we call in the 12-step program, premeditated resentment, for starters. And then it's a matter of looking at it at a different way. Am I willing to look at it differently? Because if I stay stuck in my own idea about what it should have been, what it could have been, what it had to be like, I'm not going to have any benefit of the opportunities that maybe God's opening me up to see it somehow or another differently, to allow something else to come into my life, to be willing to allow it to be differently. So that's a part of the fear. But if I don't love what is, as Byron Katie teaches us, if I don't love what is, then I can't give away that love and let go of my idea of how it was supposed to be. So we've talked a little bit, and I think Doug brought it up again in his reading this morning about, in the words in the reading are omnipresent. There's been a couple of people in the talks this last month that have discussed the idea that it's all God, it's all good. And it's all God and all good because it's all God. Because there is no spot where God is not. That's my slang terminology for omnipresence. The multisyllabic word omnipresence. There is no spot where God is not. So if there is no spot where God is not, then everything that's happening for me, to me, around me, through me, as Doug was talking about, this idea of the infinite substance and omnipresence of God, then I have to be willing to accept the divine order of whatever it is that I'm afraid of, that I'm unwilling to love, that I'm unwilling to give my love to give it away, to make it love, because love isn't love till you give it away. So what do I do? How do I get around this? How do I get around the idea that if God is everywhere, and if we're all God, because those are things that I recapped for you that have talked this month, and we can take that as a given, right? It's all God, and we are God. Then this oneness idea that's been discussed also last month, the oneness through diversity, and also people talked about it earlier this month too, that this oneness of who we are, then I'm one with Hitler. I heard that Reverend Bonnie said that Larry said, practice this. The homework that Larry assigned apparently was fill in the blank after I'm one with, and you fill in the blank with the candidate for president that you didn't vote for in the last two elections, the two candidates. So that was his practice. How can I give my love? How can I get to love, and how can I stay at love? There's a guy named David Hawkins who's now deceased. Dr. David Hawkins wrote a book called Power versus Force. And in that book of Power versus Force, he introduced his concept of the evolution of consciousness. And in his calibration of the evolution of consciousness, you have to get to 500 frequency level in order to be at what we call love and above. Anything above that is definitely love inclusive. But what's below that is love exclusive, which is anger and complacency and apathy and fear. All of those things are below that frequency of 500. So my challenge daily is to get to and stay at love and above, and to love everything that happens, to accept everything that happens, to recognize that there's a divine order in it, and be willing just to let it go, just to allow. It's about letting, not about getting what comes into my life, and allow it to be there. So Hitler and I are like one and the same. And this takes me back to what I would maybe, I don't know, Bonnie and I might have to have a discussion about this separately, but she's fond of saying that oneness is not sameness. I think that at the level of oneness in spirit, we are all starting at the sameness. And the diversity comes through the expression of the potential. So the sameness is we're all the same in spirit as having the potential to express ourselves as humans on an individualized basis or with a different way of being in our personalities, a different way of being physically. You know, Pat talked a little bit about the judgment of the physical and stuff. So we have that opportunity, even in spite of our personalities and our physical, to express the potential of who Spirit is as me, as you, is what Tina used to call, I don't know if I've heard you say this recently, Tina, but godlets. We're all godlets. And so my little piece of being a godlet is my opportunity to express that potential that Spirit has, which is limitless, infinite, that infinite substance, that creative substance that Doug read to us about, is an opportunity for me to express differently from you. And thus we are at a level of difference, but from the sameness of God. So that's how it is that Hitler and I are the same and one in that sameness. And then from then on, we're different. I hope. I hope. You guys will tell me, rein me in from that one too. If I'm a little too Hitler, I say whatever. But because we start with that oneness in the Spirit of God, we're at that level, the same. And I believe that it's the I amness of each of us that is what I want to stay focused on. And when I see something that I find difficult to love, that I find difficult to send my love ahead to, that I have challenge around, oh my God, how could he do that? Where do I go with that? And it's not about this condonement of behavior or a willingness to just turn the other way and not be interested to do or participate or our part in fixing it with love. And a lot of times that's all there is available, is to love it, is to pray and love and send the love. Keep sending the love, keep sending the love, keep sending the love. It won't be love unless I give it away. If I hold it in my heart and not give it away, then I might as well not have even had the feeling of the love. So to me, it's about asking myself, in that oneness and sameness element that I just talked about, what part of me is X? I remember speaking here, I don't know how many years ago it was now, but right before we invaded Iraq, after the 9/11 stuff, that I had to sit down with that, and I had to really process for myself. And I do this with other things too, but I definitely remember this one because it was so challenging to say, what part of me is the terrorist? What part of me is warlike? What part of me needs to go to war? Because if I cannot find within my sameness, oneness aspect some element of acceptance that leads to compassion, then can take me to forgiveness, and then can lead me to, I love what is, and I accept the divine order of it because I recognize that God is there, that there is no spot where God is not. And for my little mind not to have the ability to wrap around it or to figure it out isn't my problem. My challenge is just to continue to send it love. And to know that that love has a genuineness to it. If I give it away, it has to be given away freely. It can't be given away conditionally. It can't be that defensiveness or that defended love. Or, well, my teachings in Science and Mind saying this is what I'm supposed to do, so this is what I have to do. That's not the way for it to work. That's the way for it to work in an opposite way or an opposite direction, because it all works, whether we believe it or not. I mean, it's all the law is always functioning, irrespective of our desire or consciousness to direct it. It's happening. So if I'm having the negative thought, the thought is still going to put into process all of what Doug talked about in the reading this morning and what we know to be the creative process, because there is no way that this God that is everywhere isn't doing his stuff, that it's going to work. So why not make some conscious choice around how to direct my thought and how to believe things? And I love the line in the song that Lillian sang about, when I am in the silence, I find God, and I find myself. That's the identity that I think Pat was trying to point us in the direction of. That myself and God, God and myself, that's really all it counts. That's the relationship that I need to have the most love around in order to draw from that well of love and be able to offer it out to others and to give it away. So when I have to go through that process of what it is, I go back to thinking to myself, my teachings and my learnings from Course in Miracles, that whatever it is that I see out there, or even inside of myself, it's either love or it's a call for love, aka fear, right? That whatever's happening out there that I see, that I can say, oh, that's not a loving behavior, that's not a, well, then it's a call for love. So who am I but the lover? You know, my job then is to send it love, to give my love away in order to keep it, in order to have more, in order for it to multiply, in order for it to be felt beyond my own heart. And that's coming from the heart and leading from the heart is my goal, my challenge. I didn't know before I came that you were going to have the little member ceremony. And that always takes a few minutes out of the hour that we have together. So I would like to have you listen to this song, which takes about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I will kind of close it up. But I do want to congratulate the new members, the Bensons and Eddie and Sonora, I think she went out, for making the decision that follows a commitment to want to have a change, a transformation, a willingness to be different, a willingness to be more loving, because that's what we all signed on for when we stepped through the threshold here. And I hope and appreciate that this is where it's coming from for all of us, as well as the new members here today. So can you play my song? This is another song that's been going through my mind this week that has to do with love and how to get to it.
Kind friends all gathered round. There's something I would say, that what brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside. We're strangers are as family, and loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. So give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
So that fear can be cast out by love. It says in the song that love comes to us when we are afraid. And if you give yourself to love, then you're able to give the love away to others. I mentioned earlier that I brought the Bible with me today because the Bible showed up in my life. Yesterday we were taking apart my mother's bed as we were disassembling her house because it's been sold. And this Bible was between the mattresses. And my daughter brings it to me and she said, "Did you put that in there?" I said, "No." But it was open with the marker to the 23rd Psalm and highlighted in yellow. I said, that must be something I'm supposed to mention. Because I do think that the 23rd Psalm is a fallback for me whenever I feel afraid that the Lord is my shepherd. Your song, I can't remember quite now what the words were about when I think I'm all I've got.
If you've been thinking you're all that you've got, then don't feel alone anymore.
Okay, thank you. So that is what happens when I'm in fear. I've gotten to a fearful place because I'm thinking I'm all that I've got. And I'm forgetting that I'm not all, and that together or with others, and definitely with reliance upon God, with the 23rd Psalm's meaning. You all probably know it. I don't have to tell it to you. But we are in the valley of the shadow right now in many ways. And metaphorically, this is the opportunity to see it that way and to recognize that the Lord is our shepherd. Will take us through it. So, this is the call for love that I put out to you. That we give ourselves to love, that we know that love is what we're after, that we send our love ahead of us and allow that love to be present in any place that we are, with any person, place, thing that we're involved in. That it's showering it all with love. Because that's the God. Love is God. God is love. So I'm just calling for you to remember that, to be reminded, to put ourselves in a different mind frame, to allow ourselves to know that love is here, love is always here, because God is love, and God is always here. So the omnipresence of God is the omnipresence of love, something that will always be everywhere at all times, if we just open ourselves up to it, to give ourselves to it, and to know that that's what we're after, then what we're looking for is always what we're looking with. So if I'm looking for love, my best way to find it is to look with it, right? And I send my love out to you all.